Home equity continues to be the bright spot in our industry. Next. That article, and we're going to spend a few minutes on Biden and the budget for real estate and the housing market here in 2023, what he's allocating money towards. We're going to see where actually that's at. Next on Real Estate Daily, welcome everyone. My name is Troy, and every day, Monday through Friday, we go over the latest news in real estate, housing, and the mortgage market. Now, before we jump into it, do me a favor. If you're a buyer or a seller out there, I'm going to show you the easiest way to make a transaction as painless and as stressful less, I should say. Below, I have a couple of guides, and these buyer's guides and a seller guide, it will go over the process. And a lot of you are like scared, oh, what's the process? I'm kind of scared, I don't know what's happening. And a lot of times your real estate agent just doesn't guide you or just doesn't give you the information. I'm giving it to you. I'm giving the expert eye on what's going on in that process below. Just go ahead and hit that link, enter your email address, and then hit that send button, and boom, you will be absolutely sent a valuable guide at 100% off, right? And then if you want to, we're going to go ahead and next week we're going to tie into our MLS listings. I know a lot of you out there are Zillow lovers or Redfin or Realtor.com. That old information, you need to get rid of it. We're going to get you the direct access to the MLS. Now, let's jump into our first article here. It says home equity is a bright gem in the housing market. I say this all the time. Year over year, we have still gains in the market. I know you're saying, oh, but if I read the media, CNBC, CNN, CNBC, they're saying that the housing market is dropping. How is it dropping year over year? Are values of our property going up? Is sales going down? Absolutely, because there's no inventory to sell. So sales are going down because inventory is down. So before we start nitpicking Mr. Media, Mrs. Media out there, what I want to go ahead and talk about so I can get clicks and views, let's go over the real numbers. And the real numbers show that year over year value is up, and that's where home equity is the bright spot. All right, before we jump into the next article, do me a favor, hit that subscribe button. Boom. It really helps out, getting us out there, making sure that everybody who's really looking for a home or really wanting real estate information, they get to know us. All right, next article from Housing Wire says Fannie rumored to be looking at foregoing title insurance. Well, it's just a different way to insure. What they're looking to do is, and I'll kind of read it here. It says, nearly a year ago, after announcing that it would begin accepting attorney opinion letters, AOLs, in lieu of title insurance in limited circumstances, Fannie is yet again making waves in the title insurance industry. Now, I understand that title insurance is for two things. One is when you're a buyer or you're just about ready to own a home, you want to make sure that nothing on title is going to come back in the past and bite you in the butt, and then you're going to have to deal with it. So you have one policy insuring the past. The second insurance policy is typically the lender wants a title insurance policy for the house, just in case something happens while you own it, and that they can be made whole. So your lender wants it. So you usually have the seller paying for the title insurance for the past, and you yourself paying for current title insurance to ensure every minute that you have a debt owed on the property. And so those are happening. Well, I understand that some people are not really excited about it, but that is pretty much what needs to happen. Now, I understand that Fannie's out there and they might be doing some self-issuing, or they'll go through lawyers. In the future, we're going to have all this on the blockchain, and on the blockchain, it will just show you who's on it, what's on it. It actually is permissionless, so it'll show every bit of what's happening on title from the minute it began to absolutely up to date. It will pretty much replace title insurance, or it will reduce title insurance probably down to about 90%. That's one of the biggest charges in escrow that either a buyer or a seller has to pay, right, is title insurance. And Fannie Mae is trying to make it cheaper, though. We'll find out what exactly is reality here, because I think that ultimately it's hard to get rid of title insurance completely, especially when the market goes down and more people start suing over little things that happened at the house. All right. let's go over the next article. It's a Biden 2024 budget addresses. I mean, I kind of read through it. I'm just not. I mean, it just to me, it's just, again, politician, mumbo jumbo. If I want to go over, there's like 4 major points here, 5 major points. I don't like any of it. I mean, when I say I don't like any of it, it just doesn't do anything. It doesn't say anything. It doesn't excite me. It just literally, just keeps spending money, and the majority of this money is going towards administration. It's not going to the end user. It's a bunch of crap. Again, we're here to employ people for the government. That's not the idea. The idea is to have the money go from the taxpayer directly to the borrower buyer. It doesn't need to go sit in administration fees all day long. So the only thing here I really like, is they're going to cut down on the mortgage insurance on these, and that's what that's the best thing I like here. Let's see. It says, it says reduce costs for homeowners to expand access to home ownership. All right, so let's read this. To make home ownership more affordable for the underserved borrowers, including first-time, low, moderate, and minority buyers, the FHA is reducing the annual mortgage insurance premiums for new buyers will pay about 1/3, okay? Now, let's be honest. Why would you write underserved? Why would you write low to moderate income and minority home buyers? If this is for all new home buyers, you just keep wanting to pound that nail as hard as you can into a wood, right? It doesn't make any sense. This is for all borrowers. And why? We've been screaming and yelling at this for 3 years. The fund that for foreclosures has, what they do is they take part of the mortgage, they take the mortgage insurance money fund, and a ton of it goes to administration fees once again, and then it goes and it drops into a bucket. And that bucket is so overflowing at this point. It's so much higher than what the ceiling is on it. And we've been screaming and yelling that it should be, for the past 2 or 3 years, back and cut down the MI on new home buyers, but they haven't done it. And finally in 2023, they're starting to talk about it. Now, we had this article happen a couple of weeks ago about them doing it. It's just, it's too late, guys. And what did they do with that overflowing bucket of mortgage insurance, as well as all the profits from Fannie, Freddie, and that's out there? The government is literally grabbing their hand and stealing the money away. So they're literally taking money on the profits from Fannie and Freddie and keep yanking it and putting it towards God knows what. Let's just call it Ukraine or whatever, that's going on. They keep pulling money out of the GSEs and they keep using it for their own. It's just like, robbing Peter to pay Paul. It's garbage. You should have been, all this time, instead of paying for garbage, across the world, you should be looking at, directing this money towards homeless, or, homelessness is a big issue. But if you're going to do it towards, first-time home buyers, then you should have had the premiums at 50% less, not just 30%. They should have been that way for years. You'd have more people buying homes. And if you are trying to go over the underserved, low and moderate income and minority buyers, you already would have affected them. Those buyers are just in the same pool as any other buyer out there at this point. That's what doesn't make any sense. You keep mentioning all these things. It doesn't change anything. You cannot discriminate in housing, period, okay? When you started doing this, when you first got in, this administration said this immediately. None of that passed. It was all illegal. They knew they would be tied up in years in court. You can't just go, oh, well, I'm going to take, Asians and give them, 30% off the homes, or, I'm going to give them, down payment assistance. When we start doing these things, when we start going 100% financing, when we start handing homes to people who can't afford it, it's called foreclosure, okay? You're just setting them up to fail. You put them, the regulations are in place already, Okay, the Dodd-Frank Act changed it all. The housing crisis, that's what came out of the housing crisis, was a Dodd-Frank Act, making sure that lenders aren't predatory and that buyers and borrowers are able to repay the loans that the government is insuring. With that being said, when you have so much mortgage insurance sitting there and rotting in this pool that you keep stealing off of, you should have already been giving this back in 2021, in 2022, and finally in 2023. So, if we keep looking at this, you just keep going over the same thing. It's just administration costs. You just keep talking about the same things over and over. When you're affecting 50,000, I mean, I read this, it's like there's nothing that we're seeing here in California, which is the least affordable market throughout the whole United States, if not most of the world. And we're just not seeing it here. All we see is homelessness continue to rise. That's it. It's epidemic portions in all the major cities. You have more crime, you have more homelessness. It's in California. Thank you, Governor. You are completely bringing this into a third world country out here in California. Well, let's go to the last here. Let's go over the rates. We know here's 30-year conforming went down. Now went under 6.8. It's at 6.799. It went down about 5 basis points. FHA went up 2. We saw just a little dip here in jumbo. Guys, I think that anyone that can afford this, and there's a lot of people that are affording homes right now, they're already used to these rates. There's no shock here anymore that we saw in October, November. They're out there, they're saying that they want to get into homes. And then once they do that, somewhere in the next 24 to 36 months, they're going to do a refi, lower their budget down, maybe 5-10%, lower that monthly payment down. And they see that home ownership is really the dream here, the U.S. dream. And everyone that comes in from this country, from out of the country, this is the dream that they have. A lot of Asian buyers are coming in with cash. We're seeing here in Southern California, the majority of buyers that I get are Hispanic, and they are buying up and really creating a family and a good living here in California. Well, guys, thank you very much for joining us today. Again, if you're looking at a buyer or your seller, go below, hit that, go get a guide. Go get a free guide below. That would do you great to understand the whole process of buying and selling homes. Otherwise, guys, I will see you on Monday. You take care. I know it's a rainy day. Stay warm, stay safe. Have a good day.